New York Comic-Con, a veritable sea of collectibles. Some of them we can kind of afford and sort of justify buying. Others are kind of out of our price range. And still more, a very select few are just ridiculously, stupidly expensive. Let's go check those ones out.
Boba Fett is one of the iconic villains of Star Wars. He has like the fire that shoots from the wrists. He has the rockets. He has the big mask. You know, everything. If you had a bad day, that's what you want to be as Boba Fett. This one has been graded at an AFA 85, which is a very high grade, which means like there's only like supposedly 15 figures better out of 100. But rarely do you see like a 95, certainly not hundreds. So this is about as good as it gets for any serious Boba Fett collector. But to have one that maybe the joints are loose, maybe it doesn't stand up by itself real easily, doesn't have the weapons, you could be a $5 to $10 figure. Another reason why this one is so expensive is because it's one of the first, not the first, but one of the first versions of Boba Fett that actually shows the original 21 figures, including, of course, Boba Fett.
Now, I want to point out here, this is unpunched.
Unpunched? Yes. So that means it's never, a lot of days back in the grocery stores and the toy stores, they would put the peg, and this would get pushed on the peg, and this would be pushed out. So one more rarity that makes this better than a lot of the other ones.
So clearly, nobody loved this figure because it never even got its hole punched. Look at him, he's in such perfect condition. I would love Boba Fett much more than this.
Exactly. The clerk that was putting him on the store shelf didn't love him. The kids didn't love enough of Boba Fett's to buying that day, but for some reason now, as adults, we all love him.
Not every first issue of every comic is automatically worth a whole lot of money, but in this case, it's definitely worth a whole lot of money. Here is a $58,000 copy of The Incredible Hulk #1. Can you tell us a little bit about why this is $58,000?
Absolutely. So this is, as you said, a Hulk #1, Incredible Hulk #1. It's his origin and first appearance. So that alone makes it an expensive book. However, on top of that, this is a very, very high-grade copy of this book. In 7.0, there's only about 60 that are graded higher in the world than this copy that we're looking at right here. You can see it's got very deep purples, deep yellows. It almost looks like it was printed yesterday. It's a beautiful copy of this book. This was actually the only issue where the Hulk was gray. Incredible Hulk in the issue #2, that's when he turns green, for whatever reason.
Now, I think there's sort of a misconception that if something is worth a whole lot of money, it is in perfect mint condition, but sometimes that's just not possible. Like I noticed somebody wrote a 315 on there. Do you know when that was?
So that actually would have been from the store owner. This is what we call a pull date. And that was when, if the book didn't sell for whatever reason, he would pull it off the shelf, and sometimes he would return it to the publisher, try to get a refund to get his 12 cents back.
I've read that comic. It's okay. I don't know if I'd pay $58,000 for it, but if you have nice comics, you might want to, bag them, board them, box them, and then bag the box, because they could be worth something someday. And don't let anybody write on the covers. So obviously a comic convention is full of lots of comic books, but people collect other things too, like video games. You might have heard of a little thing called Super Mario Brothers. Now, if there is an equivalent to Action Comics #1, the first appearance of Superman, this would be the Super Mario version of that. Gentlemen, can you tell me a little bit about these games right here?
Sure, absolutely. So we're WADA Games. We're a certification company. These are collector's games. But this is also a little bit unassuming, and this is really the holy grail. A sealed copy of Super Mario Brothers could fetch you about $1,000. But what makes this one so special is you see this little sticker here. It's a Nintendo sticker, and it was sealed with just that, not cellophane. That's a copy from the test market when Nintendo launched only in New York and LA in 1985 and 1986. This is the only known test market sealed copy of Super Mario Brothers.
So how much does the first issue, for lack of a better word, of Super Mario Brothers go for?
So it's hard to value because there have not been any public sales. What we can go off of is a sixth printing, which sold for about $30,000 at open auction. So there is no other known copy of this. However, the owner would entertain selling it if he could get 6 figures for it. So we're estimating the value at approximately $100,000 or so.
That's an expensive video game. Probably just keep it in the box and get it on the eShop. Anyway, there's lots of expensive stuff here at Comic-Con. Don't open it. Just don't open it. Don't even touch it with your dirty fingers. It's got stuff all over them. You got acids in your skin. It's horrible. Don't even come to Comic-Con. You'll just ruin the collector's value of everything here. It's horrible. I just get stressed out being near these things. I'm a disaster. Get away from me.